highlights, but that is one thing
that you've been using and
that
seeing.
right away,
Yeah,
right away.
I don't know yet.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I just started the recording. I think I'm gonna get started, and then
So
if
it's you and I tonight.
it's
Okay.
us. It's us. I'll talk as if it's everyone, but yes, when we do the exercises, it'll be just you getting a little private tour of your heart,
Oh, okay.
which is universal because it's all of our hearts.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So all right. So I'll just dive in, and this is perfect because that whole 2-year-old thing of I just started recording. So Nerdan was just sharing a story of her who was it?
Friend's grandson.
Okay. And he said, I don't know yet, or I don't know. Like this type of thing
Oh,
and how easy it is for kids. And we're gonna kind of get into that because we're gonna talk about healing and the healing journey and like how the connection to the heart and all that kind of stuff. But like
yeah,
we did know this stuff at one point. It really is the societal training. So
yeah,
so we'll we'll keep the good stuff, right? And we'll just bring back the parts that we really could still use. So I put here module 3, your heart voice. So how to hear and use the voice of your heart. It's like your personal cell phone to the universe. It is this space within us, and most of the people coming into this content, taking this course, have already used their intuition. They've felt those nudges. They've listened to it. Sometimes they haven't listened to it, other times. But what I want to impart on people is that you can direct it and you can strengthen it and you can have it as a direct tool, not just that worked, that didn't, my intuition came now, but I don't know when it'll come again. It's actually a
yeah.
direct contact, just like Siri or Alexa, where I can go, hey
Mhm.
universe,
Yeah.
can I go to this party? And you wait and then you let the sensation. So that's why we need to first be in our body, manage our mind so we know if it's that ping pong thinky brain, and
Mhm.
we can discern, oh no, this actually, my guidance, my real voice sounds and feels like this.
Yeah.
So we can use this personal cell phone to the universe.
Yeah.
So through shamanism, through multiple different ventures into my own discovery, and this is the same content over and over. It's just how human beings were wired, and science is catching up, which we will get to in
Mhm.
the whole process. So I just want to do a quick review for everybody, because it's just like content, and it's like, okay, the file closing meditation, like even right now, just doesn't even take a long time. I closed my files before I came on because I do a centering meditation
Mhm.
beforehand. But we can pop onto a call and be like, oh, I got a call. Like, oh, if I was to open files that were there, but I got to call my nana. Um, just thinking of tasks to do, just closing those files so that we can be fully present. Using the brain dump, journaling, just releasing things out onto the page without thinking, without judging, just getting it out. We don't need to think or analyze or understand. And then the body scan, again, is easy peasy. All of your body parts are there to guide you. I'm feeling my feet. I'm
Yeah.
feeling my ankles. It's all very easy to do things, but not to be confused with not powerful. So I love these little comics. So for those on the audio, the brain is saying, get up, with his little glasses because he's so cute. We have a million things to do. And the heart is just blissed out watching this butterfly. And why would we do a million things when we can do 0 things? So this heart mind battle that
Yeah.
we all know so well. And it can feel that extreme. It's like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go to school. I don't want like that, like kid like voice, that inner vulnerable self, and then the adult self, but the overly militant and the way overly irresponsible. So
Yeah.
we want to come into the middle and
Right.
be in our center and hear that voice and live from that voice. So what is the heart voice? What is the heart center? So I will call it heart center, heart voice, interchangeably, because I called it heart center for so long. And it's different actually. So when I first taught this class, I thought it was the same as the heart chakra. And if we're not familiar with the chakras, they are these energetic centers that connect to each part of our physical, and so on. So the heart chakra is, you know, emotions. It's also the gateway between the physical and the non-physical. So the space in between. But the sacred space of the heart center, is actually different than the heart chakra. And I didn't know that before, but I do know that now, that we have our heart chakra kind of over here, but then deep within is this space, the sacred space of the heart. And I'm sure they're connected, and I'm sure another 5 years from now, I'll discover something else. But for now, this is what I know. So the sacred space of the heart is inside. It's we can feel it as if it's inside, but it is this small place where, now I'm just going to go to, this isn't the slide that I want to show. I'm going to go back up the toroidal field. I'll come back up to it. But basically, I didn't know I was going to talk about this now, but basically this space within here has no duality. So we're in a very duality based world, good, bad. I'll work hard, I make the money, I do this, I get that, you know, positive, negative. And the space of the heart is actually just pure possibilities and pure creation. So things can be destroyed and things can be created from zero. And that's what's really cool, is that we can create from creation itself versus reaction. It's like, I mean, we're so used to this duality, polarized world. It's night, it's day, it's good, it's bad. Happy is better than sad. And then what we're entering into is this space of center and experiencing everything and having, resisting nothing, because we're just letting ourselves be that space of our being, of who we really are. When we get to the spirit module, we're really going to dive into that the witness, the being, but the heart is like your little portal into that vast world of the non-ordinary, of the world of spirit and creation itself. So the science has been catching up with this, which is really exciting times, is that you know, in 1991, Dr. J. Andrew Armour introduced the term heart brain. And before that, we look at societal training, and it's the, you know, don't be emotional. It's crazy. Women were very poo-pooed for being emotional. The men are emotional. You know, maybe get more angry than sad. But this whole concept of emotion has been so poo-pooed as irrational and irresponsible. And again, those sides of the heart that are like way onto the other side, and they can be that way. But what we're going into is the space where the emotions are the guides, where we're listening to the heart voice. So there's actual science now that they can see that this heart brain has these neurotransmitters, proteins, and cells similar to the brain. So it's meant to be listened to. Very cool. And we'll continue to explore in science, like it's just going to keep catching up. So emotion, energy in motion, emotion. And there's actually, before I did these slides, there wasn't this documentary, but there is a documentary called Emotion, E-Motion. And it really unpacks all of this. It's very exciting how much people want to learn this stuff now. So energy in motion, an emotion is an energy. So when we get angry, we have a lot of energy. And most women, and mostly women are on this course at this time, don't know what to do with anger, and they don't know what to do with all that energy. So they shove it down. And we're going to continue to look at how shoving down emotions and the consequences of that, and that was never how it was meant to be, but they were always meant to be listened to and used as energy. So when you get angry, you actually have the energy to act. When you're sad, it's just the energy that's healing your body, right? Like if you're sad and you're healing, you're not going to go out and run a marathon. And maybe for some people that is healing for them, not for me. I would want to cuddle up and cozy and have some warm tea and all of those sort of creature comfort things to heal and soothe. And so the emotions are meant to guide us, and they're meant to flow.
Yeah.
So this whole iceberg this isn't the first time most people see this, you know, what we see and then everything we feel, everything that is underneath percolating. And so the point of hearing our heart voice and being in our body and all of these things we're learning here, so that we can be in the vastness of our full self and not be at the effect of who I am in the world and then everything else, and having to be on and put up a good face and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't mean you don't show up a certain way at different events, but it just means more of you gets to show up and you're doing it consciously rather than unconsciously.
Yeah.
Which again saves the energy so you can be fully present, so that when you do have a wave of enthusiasm and a wave of desire, you can actually feel it and use that emotional energy. But mostly we shove down what we consider to be negative.
Yeah.
The depression, the sadness, we'll shove it down. Disappointment's a huge one as well. And you know, it's so funny. I was listening to something and they were saying, I think it was a show about storage, like the storage wars thing. That isn't this ludicrous that we have so much stuff that our new problem is where to put the stuff, and then it becomes this whole other drama. So there's always going to be stuff, but we have this luxury of our most of our survival needs are met, especially anybody on this call. They have the technology. So now we can go into our emotional needs. We can go into our spiritual needs. Once our basic needs are met, we can explore what's my soul purpose. We can explore things like presence, right? It's a luxury actually to look inwards and see these things. And for some people, they get caught in the torrent of emotional waves. It doesn't feel like a luxury, but it is, because you're not just basically surviving. So Dr. Masaru Emoto did this groundbreaking work on water crystals. And emotions are often connected in Chinese medicine and many other modalities to water. And water, as we know, can have many different states. Again, there's ice, there's steam. Are they wrong or bad? No, they're different states of water. And, you know, and even something like having a shower or having a bath. So many people intuitively have baths or showers to soothe and clear and flow, right? So even if you're sitting in the bath, where does the water go after? It goes down the drain. And so everything's pointing to all of these metaphysical tools we can actually use to just let it flow, let it pour out, let it go down and out. So he looked at these water crystals, and when intention was applied on the water, it would create these different geometric shapes. It would actually affect the molecular structure of the water. And I think it's 70% water. And so is the earth. So all of this goes together. So as we are working on ourselves to become this clear channel, to be present, to enjoy our lives, and enjoy doesn't mean you're always happy. It means that you're present, deeply present, right? Yeah. So it's just, again, more evidence. We talked about evidence as a tool for the minds to go, there's something to this. I'm on the right track. And so we can actually create these beautiful experiences within our own selves by directing our mind and by letting the emotions flow the way they're meant to. Yeah. And here was the picture I was looking for. Sometimes I want to talk about something before I have this slide.
I know.
Right? Yeah.
The order changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this field. And so when we talk about the heart, right? So the space right here in the center, but our entire body has this toroidal field that moves up and around and up and around. And so does the earth. So we have these electromagnetic fields that are so powerful, and we're just scratching the surface. And I think other ancient cultures have explored this more, and we've kind of forgotten it and back and forth. But you can see on the screen that in this center part, when we do heart breathing, this is exactly what we are activating, is this magnificent space We're coming back to this place versus being just stuck in the mind. And so we want to, and there's some stuff in the slide about the assemblage point, and that is something I learned in shamanism, but it's a little more complicated than it needs to be. Just basically, it's a point of reference in each person, like a personality. Their assemblage point is different. So when some people, their personality tests and everything, but there actually is an energetic way that they are looking at the world. And the people that we get along with the most have usually a similar assemblage point.
Yes.
Where they see the world similarly, so that there's this, oh, you get me. Because they're actually, their soul is seeing the earth, the world the same way, the same lens.
Yeah.
On a soul level. So it's like beyond personality tests, soul level. And so through this field, right, this is where being an empath.
And you can feel that connection right away too, as soon as you get into your, most probably your energy field.
Yes.
So everything kind of goes at the same frequency and everything. And that's where you just, oh, I click with that person so quickly.
Yes, that's what that is because you're actually like, oh, we're actually the same. And what is that called? Compatibility. Yeah, you can feel like just good. Apparently my body just wants to say this. And that's what's funny is when you start to use these voices, sometimes it's like, it's this. And isn't that going to communicate to everybody what this is in the same ways as children do, right? Where they're communicating through multiple things. I just find it so funny. So this is how empaths are picking up, because there's only, just because the measuring tools measure a certain amount of energy of you expanding out into the room, doesn't mean you stop there. So you can actually, when you get more fine-tuned with your ability to feel energy, you could feel like, I mean, this is how I work with clients so far away. Like I can feel them wherever they're in the world because I'm expanding my energy beyond. I'm not even doing it consciously. I can just feel because I can discern because I've practiced it for so long. So this is what empaths do, is they're feeling that person's energy field. And for anybody who identifies as an empath, somebody who could feel something, who feels deeply, who can, it kind of feels like they get affected by other people's energy really easily. If it goes away after you leave, or after you shower, or after you do something, then that was just someone else's energy, and that's fine. If it stays, the thing I see with so many people, again, we're looking at the heart intelligence here. It's for you. So that person came into your field to show you yourself. And so if we're so quick to be like, oh, I feel so deeply, I don't want to feel anyone's feelings, I'm just going to hole up. It's actually the universe is trying to always bring us into wholeness, always bring us into our fullest expression. The universe and nature. So we've got universe up here, we got nature grounded on the earth, and we're both. It's always creating and expanding. So it's interesting, right? So this information is there to help us become more whole. So I say here on the slide, when we don't let our energy move, we cut ourselves off from our emotions' natural ability to heal and reveal wisdom. And so it's there for us. On that note about healing, so as a trained in psychotherapy, I've done years of learning this stuff, and we learned about the onion in psychotherapy training, and we drew a little picture, but here we have, for those who aren't looking at the visuals, a picture of an onion, and at the center of the onion, now when we learned it in psychotherapy, they put the center as shame, but that's not necessarily true. The center is our essence, our true self, that baby that comes out and is just like, here I am, it's just me. And then over those first couple of years, we developed this concept of shame, which is not that we've done something wrong, but that we are wrong. So we've done something wrong as guilt. We are wrong as shame. And shame is created in relationship and healed in relationship. So Brene Brown has done a great job of giving light to this very sticky subject that no one wants to talk about, but there she was doing the TED Talk, and it's great. So if you haven't seen that, definitely look up Brene Brown. I figure most people have it.
I follow her. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just, she does such a great, she's a shame researcher. So like shame was a huge, huge thing for me. I had so much toxic shame, and toxic shame is the stuff that like you really do need to heal, and you do need someone to help you heal.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff, if we haven't had any acute trauma, we can do some journaling and we can do self-healing. And so a lot of people can find a lot of results on their own, but I do think sometimes we just need the heavy lifting people to help us. And so as I have done on my own journey, so from shame, we develop defenses. And this is when I'm talking about your representative, who you show the world. So in my story, it was like, I had to have the answers. So I don't know yet was a big breakthrough for me as well. Eventually, I had to be easy to like. So like, how can I help you? Or like not creating conflict, or just eating, like absorbing things I don't like just to keep the peace, don't rock the boat. And I'm not alone in this. This is many people's defenses, many people's identities that they create, because we get reflection back from society. Yes, you're a good girl. Yes, aren't you smart? Oh, thanks. Yay, Jenna's here. She's going to tell us what to do. So then all of a sudden, when I'm not feeling smart, when I'm not feeling all that great, am I lovable? Can I be seen like that? It's huge. So as we explore our defenses, we explore where there's conditions on our love, right? So when we think we can't be seen a certain way, we'll hide. And then it gets tricky, right? Because then eventually we just don't have any energy, because we just need to be all of ourselves in the world. So
Definitely.
from defenses, and examples of defenses are things that I just said, but nervous laughter, anger, like putting up spikes, kind of like energetic spikes. So funny, I can't even think of them right now. It's like using humor, using anger. Think of more and put them on the thing. But I think we know what defenses are, the things that we do to put up a shield. Being the good girl is definitely actually a defense too. So subpersonalities come from defenses. And we don't need to, this is like a psychotherapy slide. So you don't need a subpersonality as a defense that becomes such an identity trait that you don't know who you are if you're not doing that thing.
Mm.
So for me, when perfectionism's a great defense. Being a perfectionist or being a rebel is another one. They were just such parts of me that when we did this exercise in psychotherapy training, nobody in the class knew what up was down and down was up. And we're like, who are we if we're not these things? Like it's it's such a crazy world to start to do this really deep transformational work, because everything comes up to be like, who am I if I'm not that thing? And then when those don't work, we will turn to addictions. Mm-hmm. So it's a compelling thing that we are just trying to not feel that shame. We're trying to not feel that original pain. So that's how our psyche just is. And so we heal in spirals, much like the onion. And so we aren't getting it wrong if a topic, a core wound of our lives, a big life issue comes up again. It's not that you didn't do it before. It's that you, at the phase that you are now, that core wound comes up again for healing on a different level. It's not that you didn't do it the first time, because it doesn't work that way. Again, we're not coming from the mind. We're going into the heart, and the heart has layers, and it goes through kind of seasons and cycles and rhythm. Not a straight line. Not a straight line at all, which is very feminine. Feminine is spirals, non-linear. Masculine energies, linear. So when we apply masculine energy to these things, it doesn't work. So a lot of people have tried. It doesn't work, right? I'm just going to do it. Roll up your sleeves and no. Yeah. No, it's not going to work. So when we get overwhelmed by emotions, it's because we're over-identifying with our brain. Our brain is overwhelmed because it's not the one for the job. When we start to get into our body and we get into our heart, we can start to trust this heart space to do its job. And the head is going to misunderstand and judge and try to analyze, but I thought I did that, but da-da-da-da-da. And all that energy it needs to heal is now going to the wrong place, much like If you're running away from a predator, you need all the blood in your limbs. It's not going to go to your organs. And vice versa, if you have hypothermia, all the blood is going to go into your organs, because it's like, okay, I can lose a pinky. It's okay. Yeah. So we're looking at our nature here too, and how we heal. So we get overwhelmed by emotions because we're using the wrong tool. We're using the wrong place. We can't use our head to heal. We heal in our body. We heal in the heart center. And I don't actually think I have the slide here, but it's like a laundry center. It's like, this is where the energy gets transmuted. This is where it does the work for us. Our head can't even begin, right? If we look at healing anything, even me, my brain working right now and digesting my food, we're not meant to do that. So there's just some extra things on the slide. So we misunderstand. That's the same thing. The natural intelligence wants to heal, but then when we keep poo-pooing it with the mind, we don't get the advantages of healing, because we're stopping it, because we have free will.
Yeah.
And I love this adorable picture of a polar bear holding down a ball, because this is how much energy it takes to hold down emotions. And this is what most people are experiencing. They're very tired at the end of the day. There's this deep fatigue, years and years of holding things down. And if we were thinking of actual beach balls in a pool, okay, I'm going to hold down shame, I'm going to hold down fear, I'm going to hold down this, I'm going to hold down that. And and we're not meant to hold all of that. We're not meant to hold all of that pain. So holding beach balls underwater is just not what you're here to do. Requires so much energy. Misunderstood. So this is just another extension of, like, if I cut my hand, how we heal emotionally is the same as physically. So if it's a small cut, right, it'll heal. It won't be a big deal. If it's a big gaping wound, yes, we need a surgeon. We need this, we need that. We need more time to heal, much like trauma. But it will heal. And what the mind does is it gets freaked out because it's not tangible. But for some reason, you know, at some point when we were a kid, we're like, oh, this is going to heal. And if we didn't know that, we would freak out too. But so the same thing with the scab analogy, your body will form a scab and it'll still be sore, but you'll be okay. And then you might get a scar if it was a really big one. But how you know you've emotionally healed from something is you can go back to the memory, and it's like it's there, but it's not as if it happened yesterday. It's like if you go back to the memory and it's like you click the mouse and everything comes back and all the emotions flood, it's not healed. All that energy was there, and then it's, as you went into it, it all came up. But you want to have kind of like a scar. You want to actually have moved through it and have that clean so that you can be present for your life right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, just a quick note about trauma. So trauma isn't what happens, because some people can experience the same thing and one person is in a traumatic response. It's how they deal with it. So really, this is why the really sensitive people of the world have a lot of healing work to do, because just certain things don't affect other people. And then it's what they make it mean about themselves or the world, that then that energy gets stuck. So it's like rabbits, when a predator walks by, freeze, of course, right? That's their defense. But then as soon as they're safe again, they shake. And they shake it off, and then they're present again. In our world, it's like, you know, all of the sayings of just suck it up and keep going and do. So what happens is someone who goes through trauma, that response, whatever the body did, whatever the heart did, walks in and again takes up energy. So we're looking at all the ways the body wants to move, wants to expand, wants to be present, and then all these ways that we can have things take up space until we know how to let it move. So trauma is different than basic emotional healing. So we want to take trauma differently. We need to create the resources for that trauma to heal. And if it's like sexual abuse and a really deep trauma, we don't want to dink around with that and just say, hey, just do heart breathing. You're going to need more tools and more support depending on the trauma. So I just want to give voice to that. And now we get to do the heart breathing. So it's like blah, 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 stuff. And often, for those who are listening, as I talk about this stuff like shame and defenses, it all stirs up. So this is why I like to do the heart breathing now, because it's just a way to dissolve that, give it permission to exist. It's not wrong or bad. It's just like, oh, all this stuff. And so now we just want to center and let it. I'm going to stop talking because the heart's going to do it for me. So I'm going to play a pretty song, because that music, and I guess as we get into the spiritual module, music and ceremony and all of these things are ways of accessing that different state, that different wave than our head and our mind. Let's see. All right. So placing our hands on the heart center. So it's just on that place. I'm just going to mute that center of the chest. And just allow some centering breaths and relax your forehead, relax your jaw, and remember basic body scan, and just let all of your consciousness, all of your attention come fully and completely into your body. Relaxing the face. Let yourself be held up by the chair you're sitting in, or the floor, or the couch. And these hands are also energy sensors, and we're just inviting the space underneath our hands, between the front of the chest and the back shoulder blades. Just want to bring our full attention to this space, and it really is a space. And it's almost as if we looked out, if we opened our eyes, like we'd be looking out from our chest. We're so in this space. So if we pop back up to the head, we come back down. You can take an elevator down and it opens into this space in the heart, or you can take a spiral staircase down. You can play with this. And so keep feeling the space underneath your hands. And as we practice, it's like presence push-ups. We get better and better. So then when it's really time to use these vibrational muscles, they are ready to go. We are resourced. We are not alone. We are capable. We have a deep level of self-trust when we connect to this space within ourselves. It was always meant to be here as a guide. And so breathing and feeling that space between the front of your chest and your back shoulder blades. Let every other part of your body unclench and release to whatever degree feels comfortable and safe. And so we're going to use this inner laundry system as an example, as an exercise. And I want you to recall something that upset you either today or recently, mildly, nothing too big. And I want you to kind of, again, like your mouse clicking on it, like it opens it up. So actually we're going to open this file consciously and feel whatever sensations are in your body about this upset. It could be internal or external. It could be a voice in your head that was very upsetting, or it could be something that happened. It doesn't matter. So as we recall it, now we're just going to be with that memory, be with that experience, with the resource of our heart. And if you yawn or burp, or the body just moves the energy, again, like water, just wants it to move. It has no judgment. There's no good or bad. There just is this energy. And so we're just going to let this space do its thing. Relax the mind. This is not where the mind needs to understand or follow or direct. It releases and relaxes to be in space with your heart center. Relax the jaw and just let any tension in the face drain down into the heart center to be transmuted back into usable energy. Another tip for doing this is I feel like I'm in the center of my head, not looking out. I'm in the center of my head, my consciousness, and then mostly in the heart center, but I am in the center of my head. I'm taking a few more breaths. We're going to come out of this state, but we don't need to leave it. We can keep it on autopilot. We're just going to let the breath take us back into that conscious awareness state again, where we are still in our body, we're still in our heartbeat, we look out the holes of our head. And that is what physical presence feels like. People throw around these words, but I like to demonstrate how they feel so you can repeat it again. Okay, I'm going to take you off mute. Okay, so that was the heart center again. And here's another cool tip that we didn't do today, but we can do it. If you have any extra energy, if you're just like so full and your heart feels like it has extra energy, we can beam it up to our mind. If our mind is tired and we're stressed, and we can access this heart energy and then beam it up like a spotlight to the brain. So when we're doing heart breathing, that's another option, is to beam it up to the brain if it's feeling particularly stressed, which in this day and age, I think everyone can probably do it daily.
Yeah.
And I love this quote by Helen Keller: "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." A nice reminder there. And, you know, people ask me, what's the difference between the heart center and intuition? Again, because the brain, mind dominant world wants things to be in compartments. They're not so different. You need, the more you feel your heart space, the more you let it clear emotions. So again, like that laundry system, like for instance, actually, Nordan, we can speak with that a little bit, like letting that memory, letting that event get cleared by the heart center, right? Just something that was mildly upsetting, and just let that clear so that you're not taking it with you. Did something come up? Did you have any luck with practicing that?
Yeah, it was, first of all, I had a hard time getting from here to here.
Yeah.
I tried to get the elevator got stuck there. Then I got the spiral staircase. That worked better because I liked the idea of it. I said, okay, forget about the elevator. I can't control that. Let me do it kind of down with my I just walked down. And I came down through that. So, and after that, I could see between the front of my chest and back of my, the shoulder blades, that area was so big. And I said, I never noticed it could be this big.
Yes.
I would just think it would just be from here to here. How much can it be?
That's what the mind would think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I saw myself in there, just a little Lego kind of a figure or whatever.
Yes.
I was just there, right there. And I was sitting right over here, and I said to myself, I should be going back. When you said, remember that memory that makes you really upset, and I'm just thinking about it, but the little figure is just stuck into the heart. It did. I said, let's go back. Let's go back and kind of get out of this, because there's something happened in the last couple of months, and it really bothered me and still bothers me. But so I said, okay, so just kind of discover this area. No, it didn't go. It was just at the front as if he just kind of hanging on to the heart and didn't want to go in place.
You don't have to go anywhere. You stay in the heart and come and add present consciousness.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I stayed there. I definitely stayed there. And I just noticed the space, how big it was. And when I was doing that, my stomach was kind of kind of doing that. So I said, oh, my stomach is kind of making noise. I don't know if it was with that release of energy or
That's
something.
the energy. Yeah, when people doing energy
it
work.
just kind of go. And yeah, it was so interesting.
It's so cool. And this is just this is again the tip of the iceberg of like.
Exactly. The first time I'm playing with it, I'm sure it will be so kind of interesting as I do more and more.
And so the heart center, you can be there and everywhere. The mind cannot. The mind is one thing at a time. That's what it's meant to do. One task at a time. And when we reverse that, we get all overwhelmed. But we can be in the heart and think and feel our body and plan our future and heal the past. Like it is that big.
Yeah.
It's that intelligent. It's beyond the mind. And that's the feminine power. That's the feminine energy. It's not about men and women and good or bad. Again, like polarities. It really is that feminine energy is the knowing and the source and the creation that we as a society have disconnected from. And it's also the connection to the earth.
Yes.
Which is this, you're right, we've got this toroidal field that's showing us, hey, this is how we're meant to be, to connect to nature as a teacher. And so as we get into the heart, we do find that we can be taught by things and listen with that heart voice. So that's a great first experience there for you.
It was. And I like listening to my heart.
Yeah.
I like listening to my heart. In my normal life, I like that. And so many times, it's too many to count. Just when I went with that, I just saw later on that it was the right path to take.
And that's the thing. So the heart center can go beyond time and space, can go beyond linear chronological, again, when we go spirals, but it's also beyond. So when we look at something like intuition, we break it down as something we know without knowing. We know, as I said, I shared the story of like, I needed to go to Peru. Well, I didn't need to go to Peru. It was a soul level message of where to go, who to call, when to call, and these direct intuitive, again, that cell phone from the universe. And if we get it mucked up with all these daily annoyances and we don't clear and cleanse, we can't hear it. So we grow and we clear. And so we grow the muscle by doing it consistently, and we clear by doing it, but also we just want to stay clear and let things move and flow. And that takes a lot of practice to actually let difficult feelings be.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I'm at the most open and that most clear stage of the day, the time, is when I wake up. When I wake up, I feel so clear, so open. I feel so light. That's how I wake up in the morning. It doesn't matter if I had a good sleep or a bad sleep. It has nothing to do with the sleep.
It's actually a consciousness state of in between the two worlds. And then as you enter into this world becomes more concrete in your old patterns.
Yeah, I just wake up, just light. And I just say, oh my God, we started the day. And there's always this nice little excitement when I wake up inside me. Every morning. And I love that moment.
And so I'm going to give you a tool is that you can actually, and for everyone listening, feel that feeling and then direct it into the day.
Yeah.
So it's like you expand it out and then it overflows, and then you can direct it. Actually, you can direct it more into the day if you have a big event coming up. When I'm speaking at something that really matters, well, I guess it always really matters, but I direct energy to the room. I direct the overflow to where I will need it in the future, which
Yeah.
we can equally do back as well. So when I talk about trauma healing, we're going to get into the inner child in a moment, actually. So the intuition and the heart center, they just really do go hand in hand. This space of just feeling intelligence beyond the mind and knowing and being connected to connection and creation itself. I mean, it's just such a game changer. And so a mantra for finding my center, I learned this mostly through shamanism, but the space of what I will know what to do. I will know when to do it. I will know. And until then, I just don't. And that's become like a way of being in the world. It's just, I will know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Just want to give a mention to this great institute, I guess, organization called Heart Math. And if you've never heard of it, it's definitely worth looking up. They talk about the toroidal field. There's this picture on the screen of a toroidal field around the heart center itself and then around the body. You can see like waves radiating out from the heart, negative emotions, just like the Masaru Emoto water crystal experiment, jumbled and garbled when they're negative emotions. And then when they're coherent, that's the word they use, is coherent emotions, where the heart is a connection, the mind, and they're working together, synced up. You need to be in the body for that to happen. You have a different wave. And so again, that created those different crystals. So that's just from Heart Math. And again, this concept of coherence is there's this jagged lines when we're out of sync, and we feel jagged, right? When I'm out of sync, I can feel it. It's so tangible. Like, oh, right. Ugh, as if this was most of my life before I learned this stuff. And then when we're in coherence, we're not thinking a bunch of, we're just there. We're there and we're being and we're good. And we're not going wrong or bad. We're using it as evidence. Evidence to make choices, evidence to go, whoa, I'm really, really wigging out. What do I need right now? Listening to those voices, listening to your body, listening to your heart, listening to spirit through symbol, through inspired ideas. And so this all starts to come together. And I mentioned the feminine energy. There's a beautiful picture here of a lioness, and she's just, I think she's in the sun, and she's just loving it. And there's a quote by Rumi that says, close your eyes, fall in love, stay there. And it's again, Rumi and these poets, they're speaking of this place that you can't actually give voice to. It's an experience, and that's where we want to live more and more and more from. And so that again is this feminine energy, direct knowing, intuition, and feeling, most importantly, feeling. So just like I spoke of before, it's okay to not be happy in the sense of what we've put happy on, you know, and I see this with my one-on-one clients all the time, because they are at a point in their life where they have all the things. They're in decent health. Maybe they have a good partner, or they've left a relationship and that feels really good. Their kids are good. Their house is good. Their career is good, and they don't feel it. But the rest of the world is convinced they're happy. You know, they would never, ever come off as anything being wrong. And then they make themselves wrong and bad for it. And they should be happy and they should be grateful. So this is something I've been noticing a lot of, that I should be, but a lot of it is because of all that gunked up stuff that you just going through life, you're going to have. So this whole idea of masks and defenses and stuff like that, as we start to get into our presence, we just don't need it as much. We don't need it because we don't rely on other people's validation to feel safe anymore. We know we're tuned in. We know we're connected. We don't need external validation to feel like we belong. We belong because we're breathing and our hearts are beating and we're part of nature. So this deep belonging starts to really become more and more of your feeling. And if I'm saying this and people listening to the recording are going, I will never get there, you will, because I didn't think I would either. the other voices, the noise sounds so true because it's been everything we've experienced. This is our nature. This is our deep, deep truth. And there's a reason it's in songs and it's in books and it's in movies, because it's just telling us who we really are. And we're not that complicated of a species. We just think we are. So being happy is not the goal. Being centered, being able to come back home to your presence, and then you can ride any wave that comes your way. Extreme ecstatic joy to just earth-shattering, depressing moments like tragedies and all these. Then you're equipped for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously our emotions and feelings affect our body and health. So there's lots and lots. This is called somatic psychotherapy, soma meaning the body, where the body will actually tell you the issue of the heart. So as a psychotherapist, this has been amazing for me, but the symptoms, like we talked about in the body module, are like emotions that just got stuck somewhere and they want to come up and out. So it might show up as eczema, it might show up as arthritis, might show chronic headaches, but it's like, what's the body trying to say? What energy's locked in there? And when we start to let emotions move, especially the easier ones, mild irritation, mild disappointment, then the bigger ones will start to move. So you're not doing anything wrong or bad if you're meditating regularly and suddenly you feel this wave of depression that's actually probably been sitting in your body for a long time. And now it's, ready to come up. So this is why we start slowly and consistently, so that these bigger balls of energy that are showing up as symptoms in our body, so that they don't continue to create symptoms that will create bigger problems that are just trying to get our attention. Not every physical symptom, this is not a debate, but you don't want to get too crazy with the physical symptoms meaning everything.
Yeah.
And so just a note about presence and perception. There's a quote here: stress is caused by being here, but wanting to be there. So we're back to mental interpretations, and they will come up. Oh, I shouldn't be sad because da 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 da. So we just want to watch those voices and let them fly by like words on a news screen, how they just come by like a ticker tape. So we just want to let those move through. But yeah, so stress is caused by being here, but wanting to be there. It's just lack of presence. That if we are fully in our body, we will know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And that sometimes that could mean just sit and don't do anything. And so another quote from Heart Math is, depending on whether your perception of a situation is negative or positive, these changes result in increased physical energy or depletion, mental and emotional clarity or lack of it, and increased or decreased communication abilities. So everything in your life gets enhanced by starting to connect to your body and your heart and all of these things. For those who download the PDF, you're going to see the emotional guidance scale. And this was done by Esther Hicks. And it's just great work that they downloaded of how we don't go from insecurity, guilt, unworthiness to joy and empowerment. We don't leap. We move, again, back to spirals. We move through phases. So when we go from insecurity to rage, to anger, to discouragement, we're actually moving into a state of more coherence. We're letting the emotions move us. So it's something like boredom or frustration, they're actually higher on the list than something like insecurity or unworthiness. So instead of judging boredom, the next step to boredom is contentment and then hopefulness. And we all know what this feels like when we're bored and then we shift the energy and then we're like, oh, I guess I'm okay. Oh, I wonder what I'm going to eat for dinner. And suddenly the energy is shifted from one that's a little meh to one that feels a little better. So they are meant to move. Do not wage a war on your emotions. This is what the mind does.
Yeah.
We want to listen to them. So we go back to being a child and being a puppy and the innocence with we're all coming from this very innocent place. We're all feeling deeply. And so we want to come back to that, because people can get very harsh with themselves on their healing journey. I shouldn't be this. I should, da, 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 da. And those voices need love, and they need care, and they need what they didn't get at a certain time. And so we do the heart breathing, we feel the sensations, we let them move and be, we watch with curiosity and openness. Don't judge, don't make it wrong. You shouldn't, none of that. No. So that's something we train. And again, back to reviewing sensations, images, old memories, scents, actually smelling, visions. Your subconscious mind is going to come up with information for you when you learn to do this more and more. And then I just have a slide saying, I accept and experience all of my feelings. So all of our feelings have information for us. And again, back to the inner child, how do you talk to yourself? Manage how you talk to yourself. Would you talk to a puppy that way? Would you talk to a child that way? And a lot of people feel this enthusiasm when they're a kid. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this dance, and it's gonna be amazing. And they're just playing and creating. And then someone was like, "You look dumb." And all of a sudden, all of that enthusiasm crashes down, and it's this moment of pain and rejection. And what I have found, and what I also discovered in my own life, how much I protected myself from the feeling of disappointment by not letting myself be enthusiastic, by not letting myself to hope for the best, because I didn't want to seem stupid, or I was protecting myself from this very heart achy feeling of disappointment. And so I wanted to mention that is because joy is the ultimate vulnerability. When we really love painting, we don't really want to show people, because we're trying to protect our heart, right? This sensitive, vulnerable heart. This is more of our human heart. The inner child enthusiasm is more connected to our human self. The other heart center I was talking about, the sacred space of the heart, is our metaphysical soul self. But our human self is so cute, and it just doesn't want to be hurt. And it just wants everything to go well. But when it really loves something, it doesn't want it to get hurt. So when we be mindful of that, we're like, okay, you know what? It's worth it. I'm going to be enthusiastic. I'm going to be mindful of who I share it with, the safe people. Or if like people are like, oh, it wasn't good, I'm going to have the emotional reserves to be like, well, I like it. Just like kids in kindergarten. So I have a picture here of a child who's in a box, who's crying, and this is how most people's inner child looks. Years of pain that have not even been scratched the surface. So we might have journaled about it, we might have even been to therapy, but there's these inner vulnerable parts that are just scared, and they just need love. And as we let ourselves feel these symptoms and let this come up, we need to meet it with love. So we don't want to be mean to our inner child, our inner self. And so just like Nirdan experienced today, the heart is a portal to far more than we can ever imagine. And we just got a little whiff of it today, but we can go to the future. We can project ourselves to the future. Our consciousness can go anywhere. Our head can't, right? We can't possibly know. So we can make decisions from this place. Should I go on that retreat? Actually, Lori was mentioning that about planning the retreat and then just feeling the feelings and just getting data of like, I don't know about this, right? And I'm sure this is public knowledge, so I'm not sharing Lori's story without her being here. But, just we've all done this of like a diet to go on or not. Just things that our body intelligence is trying to tell us and our heart is trying to tell us of like the future, where we need to go through the sensations in our body here and now. So this heart center, yes, this is a 60-minute, this is what the heart center is, but it's a lifelong exploration. But it is timeless. It is the world of possibilities. And again, I say the word possibilities, but it means nothing. I actually mean possibilities, like endless, infinite, creative. Think of how small the earth is in comparison to the sun and Jupiter, and that we're only one small little bit. Like that's what we're talking about. And it's within us. This space is within us. So how can we possibly take our little scared self so seriously when we know this grand space is who we really are? And yes, we can forget, and yes, we can feel despair, and we can feel everything. But once we really, really, really know this space exists and we practice it more and more and more, it's not devastating. It doesn't rock your world. You're like, oh, this is temporary. You know, it's not because a meditation book told you it's temporary, or Pema Chodron or me. It's because you know. And again, that voice is louder than the noise, it's louder than your own noise. So this timeless space is right there in the heart center. So this heart center is profound. And it's meant to feel good. So something that makes us feel expansive and lit up is a guide from our soul of who we are, where we're meant to go, what our so-called purpose is. But our purpose is to just be us, live in this space, come from here, live in community, live in connection, create. There's no rule book, but there is a guide, a vibrational guide through the heart center in your body, managing the mind, directing the mind when you want to do a project to bring the intangible world into being through creation. And then all of this stuff starts to get fun. And it still feels like, like it doesn't mean you're not going to feel feelings that aren't comfortable, but you're going to be driven and led by this place that's bigger than you, bigger than your small sense of yourself. So I have a few extra resources here. I guess the movie Emotion was out when I did this. So there we go. Brene Brown again. Judith Orloff does a great book about empaths. Fantastic book about emotional fitness. If you're one of those people that's like, what's the difference between grief and sadness and resentment and this? And if that's curious to you, this book, Emotional Fitness, was fantastic. Just exploring what emotions are. Like, what are they? I have an extra bonus meditation for you to do on your own, and actually we'll end with it. And then I'm going to pull an oracle card. But I call this the jetpack meditation. So we're in the heart center. So we're in the space between the intangible world of energy in the universe and the earth, the physical world. So the jetpack meditation is like how to plug in yourself like you would plug in your cell phone. So we're going to fill our battery up. So those who are listening, we're just going to invite you to, again, close your eyes if it's safe, or you can just listen and be guided. So just, again, we always start the same way of coming into our body by feeling our breath. That's a constant invitation into the body. And just let your face melt. Let your body be held up by whatever you're sitting on or standing on. And as you bring your outer attention inward with your breath, your beautiful breath, and just let that awareness come in to every part of your body, your feet, your legs, your torso, the back, the front, your shoulders and arms and hands. Your neck and head are all here. And I like to picture that my lungs are an extension of my entire body. And with each breath, all of my body is breathing. And what you're going to do is plug into the earth in whatever way feels right to you. So it could be an actual plug, like a lamp or a toaster. It could be roots, those beautiful roots that go down into the earth, miles down beneath you. Whatever way feels good as you plug in. And once you really feel that connection, you let go and receive. And you feel yourself like a sponge receive from the earth, filling up your feet, filling up your legs. And as it gets to your pelvis, all that energy, we're going to start filling up our spine. And our spine is our jetpack. And we're going to fill up extra energy. We're just going to fill up more than we need and come from overflow. So we're filling up into our spine. And I see it as this very neon blue. It's a darker blue, but it's like a neon radiating. And as it fills, It's very intuitive how long it takes for you to fill up. And all there is to do is set this into motion with intention and receive. Relaxing the face, relaxing the spine, receiving. And as that continues to fill up from the earth, I want you to picture your own personal sun, 5 to 6 inches above your head. And this sun is connected to universal energy, everything that isn't the earth. So it's huge. And all of that is compact, person size, individual size, in the top of your head. And you're going to fill up, it's going to pour in from your brain into your spine, going the other way. And sometimes, so it's so funny, I'm seeing green right now, but that might be the energy I need. And this is why we need to follow our own voice. So trust the flavor, the smell, the visual, the feelings, the sensations that come to you for you, because that's the infinite intelligence streaming into you with your unique needs at this time. So important to do that. Yes, we have universal needs, but we also want to listen to our own voice here. And so all you do is receive, fill up, and receive. And when you have extra, you can again send it into a past moment that was particularly challenging, or into a future moment that you're planning for. Or you can send it to someone you love. So make sure you're giving of your overflow. Or someone you don't love. You can just trust your heart space. But once you full up, you can keep it for yourself, because I usually work with people that are always giving to other people. So you can also just keep it for yourself. But just some options for what you can do. But the idea is you fill up your jetpack and then let that be full. And then you can kind of start to feel when it gets empty, and then you can fill it up again anytime. So coming back fully, again, coming back doesn't mean leaving the resources. You keep those and then come back to present consciousness with the extra resources. Again, the mind is like either or. The being is everything, and then doing. So we'll just do a quick check-in with you, Nodan, and I'll pull an oracle card for the class. Anybody who's listening to the recording, this is also for. But how was that meditation for you?
The colors were, when you said that kind of plug into the earth, I just felt my feet are, when you're at the beach, when you dig your feet in the sand, kind of a feeling. So sand covers your feet a little bit, and you feel the warmth of the sand over there. So that was the feeling that I had with my feet. And then that when I said, okay, I'm just filling it up all the way up, I just felt itchy.
Itchy?
Yeah. My legs were itchy. Oh, and I even said, oh, why are they itchy? Or am I making it up? I don't know, but I felt itchiness. And then when I came to pelvic and all that, I started filling up my spine, and it was just a dark, very thick kind of a thing was filling up. There wasn't much color to it. But when I started getting the energy from the sun above my head, that was a clear turquoise light. So as if it was water pouring over me.
And see what I mean? Like I felt green.
Yeah.
We needed turquoise. And that's why we listen to our own voice, right? So we let it come in and we trust.
Yeah.
So, and And what you notice is it started to get a bit heavy coming up because you needed that light
Exactly.
solar
I
energy.
think, yeah, it just help to make it lighter because it was such a concentrated and dense thing was coming up, and that light thing, so it wasn't yellow or nothing, that light, but it was just a crystal turquoise clear something just I felt coming down. Yeah.
And this is what's so great is how easy is that, right? You don't even need to listen
And
to the recording.
I'm all itchy kind of, I'm feeling.
So actually for everyone in the recording, when we start to claim our power again, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's a recalibration. I use the word recalibration all the time because it's, what do I do with all this energy? You know, it can be really overwhelming. It can be really uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes people will take in too much energy and then they can't sleep for hours because they're like, oh, like, what do I do with all this energy? So it takes time for the body to recalibrate. So as you're receiving, we're so used to overgiving.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, your nervous system, your body, I'm not going to make it mean something, but it's a, oh, all this energy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so neat.
Yeah. Both meditations, they were very good experience. I think, yeah, I'm going to work on those definitely.
Mm-hmm. There's so, once you've done them once, like, I know me holding space for people helps them get there once, and then you essentially don't need me, right? You can always listen again, and get guided there. But it's the, once you have the experience, you can always repeat it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's really empowering. So the card I pulled for the group is from a fractal geometry deck. So those who are on the recording, audio only, it's this like purples and yellow, gold shapes. And the message is blossoming. And the words are, even simply questioning your life or trying to figure out where and how to move forward moves your energy and aids in opening you to your higher awareness and divine purpose. Continue with this. Do not let your human mind, with its limited point of view, tell you that you're stuck or not progressing. It isn't true. You are opening, you are flowing, and your soul is blossoming. Keep your faith in both yourself and spirit. Know that you are on the path, perfect path, and that you're opening to your highest potential one step at a time.
Wow.
So, I know, right? I'll post that in the group so you can see it. So that is today's class. And, you know, our next class is spirit. And so we're going to talk about Oracle, like that this message at this moment and blossoming, it, how perfect it is, when to not give your power away to these things and to, you know, always self-source and get confirmation. So we'll be diving into that next week.
Awesome.
It feels like it's really buzzing through, but, you know,
but it is kind of wakening up thoughts and things. It is really kind of starting me thinking and realizing, being more aware. Definitely I need to practice more, but it is just good
seeds.
Yeah.
Once you've got the seeds, you can grow them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand. I can explain some of the emotions I have and some of the states I get into. So yeah, I get to know myself better. That's for sure.
So you can hear your own voice. That's exactly. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, everyone have a wonderful week. I'll sign off now and I'll see you guys next week.
Will do. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Once I figure out how to get out.